Picture this, the kindest person you know, the one who always listened, always helped, always put everyone else first. One day, they stop. And when they stop, they don't just walk away. They become someone you don't recognize, someone calculated, someone cold, someone dangerous. You think narcissists are the threat. You think they're the ones who cause the most harm. But you're wrong. Because a narcissist operates from ego. An empath who's done, they operate from knowledge. And knowledge is a sharper weapon than ego ever was. Today we're talking about the burnt-out empath, the person who gave everything until there was nothing left. And when that happens, something shifts. They don't become narcissistic, they become strategic, and that makes them far more unpredictable than any narcissist you've ever met. Society sold you a story. Empaths are soft, empaths are healers, empaths are safe. And narcissists, they're the villains, the manipulators, the ones you need to avoid. But that binary is a lie, because the most dangerous person in the room isn't the one who never cared. It's the one who cared too much and finally stopped. Here's what nobody tells you. Empathy isn't weakness, it's a skill, a highly developed emotional intelligence that reads people, predicts behavior, and understands motivation. And when someone with that skill stops using it to help and starts using it to protect, the game changes completely. A narcissist manipulates because they lack empathy. They don't understand how you feel, they just know what they want. But a burnt-out empath, they understand exactly how you feel. They know your triggers, your fears, your weaknesses, because they spent years absorbing all of it, and now they know how to use it. This is the first truth. Empaths don't just feel emotions, they map them. They study patterns. They become experts in human behavior because survival required it. And when they flip that expertise from caretaking to self-defense, they become untouchable, precise, strategic in ways narcissists never could be. Let me tell you about Vanessa. For 10 years, she was the glue in her friend group, the therapist, the mediator, the one who showed up at 2 a.m. when someone needed her. She gave advice, she absorbed pain, she fixed what was broken, and nobody ever asked if she was okay. Then one day, Vanessa stopped responding, stopped showing up, stopped caring. Her friends called her selfish, cold. They said she changed. But Vanessa didn't change, she just ran out. And when empaths run out, they don't fade quietly. They cut ties like a strategist, clean, final, no explanation. Because here's what people miss. Empaths don't burn out slowly. They burn out all at once. It's not a gradual decline, it's a cliff. One day they're there, the next they're gone. And when they're gone, they take all that emotional intelligence with them, and they stop using it for you, they start using it against you. This is the second truth. Narcissists are predictable. They need admiration. They crave control. You can see them coming. But a burnt-out empath, you won't see them coming. Because they've spent years hiding their needs, years pretending they're fine. And when they finally prioritize themselves, it looks like betrayal, but it's just survival. Now let's talk about what happens in the brain. Empaths have heightened activity in the mirror neuron system. This is the part of the brain that allows you to feel what others feel. It's why they absorb emotions like a sponge. But chronic activation of this system leads to empathy fatigue. The brain literally can't sustain it. When empathy fatigue sets in, the brain does something interesting. It shuts down emotional receptivity, not out of malice, out of self-preservation. The amygdala stops flagging other people's distress as urgent. The prefrontal cortex stops overriding self-interest, and suddenly the empath becomes emotionally unavailable by design. But here's the kicker. That emotional unavailability doesn't erase their skills. They still read people. They still predict behavior. They just stop caring about the outcome. And that combination, high perception, zero emotional investment, is what makes them dangerous. Because now they see you clearly, and they feel nothing. Jordan was in a relationship with someone who took and never gave back. For 3 years, Jordan tried, communicated needs, set boundaries, explained feelings. Nothing changed. So Jordan stopped trying. And within 2 weeks, Jordan had dismantled the entire relationship with surgical precision. No yelling, no drama, just clarity.
Jordan's ex said it felt cruel, calculated, but Jordan didn't see it that way. Jordan saw it as efficiency. Why waste energy on someone who wouldn't change? Why explain again what had been explained 100 times? The empathy was gone. The strategy remained. And that's what terrified the ex. The coldness wasn't emotional, it was logical. This is the third truth. Narcissists operate from emotion. They react, they lash out, they need you to feel their anger. But a burnt-out empath operates from logic. They plan, they execute. They don't need you to feel anything, they just need you gone. And that detachment is more unsettling than any narcissistic rage. Let's talk about boundaries. Empaths are terrible at them. For years, they say yes when they mean no. They tolerate disrespect because they understand why the other person is hurting. They give chance after chance because they believe in growth, and people exploit that constantly. But when an empath finally learns to set boundaries, they don't set them gently. They set them like walls, concrete, unscalable. And if you try to push, they don't negotiate, they remove you completely. Because they've already given you 1,000 chances, and they're done teaching the same lesson. Chloe worked in a toxic office for 5 years. She stayed because she cared about the mission. She mentored junior employees. She fixed broken processes. She absorbed the blame when things went wrong. Management loved her because she made their jobs easier, but they never promoted her, never valued her, just used her. One day, Chloe quit. No 2 weeks notice, no handoff. She just sent an email and disappeared. The office collapsed. Project stalled. People panicked. And Chloe? She didn't care. She didn't feel guilty. She didn't look back. Because she'd already mourned that job while she was still in it. By the time she left, she was empty. This is the fourth truth. When empaths disengage, they've already processed the loss. They've already grieved. They've already detached. So by the time you notice they're gone, they're not hurt, they're not angry, they're just done. And that finality is something narcissists never achieve, because narcissists always need one more reaction. Now here's where it gets dark. A burnt-out empath knows your vulnerabilities because you told them, you confided in them, you trusted them, and they stored that information, not maliciously, just naturally, because that's what empaths do. They remember, they connect, they understand. And when the relationship ends, all that information is still there. The empath doesn't weaponize it out of spite, but they do use it to protect themselves. If you try to manipulate them, they see it coming. If you try to guilt them, they're immune. If you try to hoover them back, they've already closed the door and locked it and moved. Taylor had a friend who constantly played the victim. Every conversation was a crisis. Every problem was someone else's fault. Taylor listened for years, validated, supported. But eventually, Taylor realized the crises were patterns, and the patterns were choices. So Taylor stopped engaging, stopped offering advice, stopped being available. The friend accused Taylor of abandoning them, but Taylor didn't see it as abandonment. Taylor saw it as boundary enforcement, because empathy without reciprocity is just self-neglect, and Taylor chose self-preservation. The friend called it cold. Taylor called it clarity. This is the fifth truth. Empaths don't turn cold because they stopped caring about people. They turn cold because they started caring about themselves. And to people who benefited from their self-neglect, that shift feels like cruelty, but it's just balance, long overdue. Let's address the myth. People think empaths are doormats, that they'll always forgive, always come back, always give another chance. And for a long time, that's true, but there's a limit. And when that limit is reached, the empath doesn't slam the door. They close it quietly,
and they never open it again. This is different from narcissistic discard. A narcissist discards you when you stop serving their ego. They might come back if they need supply, but an empath who's done, they're done. There's no hoovering, no breadcrumbing, no second chances, because they've already given you all the chances, and they're out. Morgan dated someone who was emotionally unavailable. For 2 years, Morgan tried to connect, planned dates, initiated conversations, expressed needs. The partner barely reciprocated, so Morgan left. And when the partner reached out months later wanting to try again, Morgan didn't respond. Not out of anger, out of indifference. The door was closed.
The partner couldn't understand it. They expected Morgan to be waiting, to be hurt, to want closure. But Morgan had already closed that chapter, processed it, moved on. And that lack of reaction devastated the partner more than any argument ever could, because Morgan didn't need anything from them anymore, not even an apology. This is the 6th truth. A narcissist wants you to react. A burnt-out empath doesn't care if you react. They've moved on emotionally before they moved on physically, and that emotional detachment is final. There's no pulling them back because they're not running from you. They're running toward themselves. Here's what makes this dangerous. Empaths understand social dynamics. They know how to read a room, how to influence perception, how to shift narratives. And when they stop using those skills to keep the peace and start using them to protect their interests, they become formidable. A narcissist will trash talk you, make you the villain, gaslight mutual friends. But it's obvious, it's loud, people see through it eventually. But an empath who's done, they don't trash talk, they just withdraw, and their silence speaks louder than any accusation, because people notice when the kind one stops showing up. Riley was the heart of a community group, organized events, mediated conflicts, made everyone feel included. But a few members started taking advantage, demanding Riley's time, criticizing Riley's efforts, never contributing themselves. So Riley stepped back, and the group fell apart. Not because Riley sabotaged it, because Riley was the only one holding it together. People blamed Riley, said Riley abandoned them, but Riley didn't abandon anyone. Riley just stopped doing the work of 10 people. And when the group collapsed, it revealed the truth. They didn't value Riley's contributions, they expected them. And when empaths realize they're expected to carry weight without recognition, they drop it and walk away. This is the 7th truth. Empaths don't need revenge. Their absence is the consequence. When they leave, things fall apart, not because they sabotaged anything, but because they were the glue. And when the glue is gone, the cracks show, and people finally see what they lost. But by then, it's too late. Now let's talk about emotional intelligence as a weapon. Empaths spend years learning how to de-escalate, how to validate, how to make people feel seen. But those same skills can be flipped. Instead of making you feel safe, they can make you feel exposed. Instead of validating your feelings, they can dissect your motives. A narcissist insults you. An empath who's done, they ask a question that makes you question yourself. They don't attack, they observe, they reflect. And that reflection forces you to see your own behavior. And if you don't like what you see, that's not their problem, that's yours. Casey had a coworker who constantly undermined them in meetings, took credit for Casey's ideas, made passive-aggressive comments. Casey didn't fight back, didn't complain to HR, just started documenting. And when the coworker tried to throw Casey under the bus, Casey calmly presented a timeline of emails, meetings, contributions. No emotion, just facts. The coworker was exposed, and Casey didn't gloat, didn't rub it in, just went back to work. Because Casey didn't need validation. Casey needed boundaries and enforcement. And that quiet, strategic approach was more devastating than any outburst could have been. This is the 8th truth. Empaths don't fight dirty, they fight smart. They don't need to raise their voice, they just need to stop lowering it. And when they speak at full volume, people listen, because they're not used to hearing the empath assert themselves. And that shift in energy changes everything. Let's talk about what people get wrong. They think a burnt-out empath becomes a narcissist, but that's not what happens. Narcissists lack empathy. Burnt-out empaths have empathy. They just stop extending it to people who don't reciprocate. That's not narcissism, that's discernment. The difference is intent. A narcissist manipulates for ego. A burnt-out empath protects for survival. A narcissist needs you to lose so they can win. A burnt-out empath doesn't need you to lose, they just need you out of their space. And that distinction matters because one is about dominance, the other is about peace. Avery had a family member who constantly violated boundaries, showed up unannounced, demanded favors, guilted Avery into compliance. For years, Avery tolerated it, explained boundaries, tried to be understanding. Nothing worked. So Avery stopped answering calls, stopped attending events, stopped explaining. The family member called Avery selfish, heartless, but Avery wasn't heartless. Avery just realized that explaining boundaries to someone who doesn't respect them is a waste of time. So Avery enforced them silently, and the family member's reaction proved the point. They didn't want connection, they wanted control. This is the ninth truth. When empaths stop explaining themselves, people accuse them of being cold. But explanation requires the belief that the other person will listen. And burnt-out empaths have learned some people don't want to understand. They want compliance. And empaths stop giving it. Here's the part that scares people. A burnt-out empath doesn't announce their transformation. There's no dramatic speech, no warning. They just start operating differently. And by the time you notice, they're already gone, mentally, emotionally, sometimes physically. And there's no getting them back. Because empaths don't make the decision lightly. They've already tried everything: communication, boundaries, patience. And when none of it works, they don't try again. They just leave. And that decisiveness, after years of tolerance, is what catches people off guard. They expect the empath to keep trying, but the empath is done trying. Quinn was in a friendship where they always initiated, always planned, always checked in. The friend rarely reciprocated, so Quinn stopped initiating, and the friendship ended. The friend reached out months later, confused. Quinn explained once. The friend made excuses. Quinn didn't explain again, just moved on. The friend said Quinn gave up too easily, but Quinn had been giving for years. And when the friend didn't notice Quinn's absence until Quinn stopped reaching out, it confirmed everything. The friendship was one-sided, and Quinn wasn't interested in carrying it alone anymore. This is the 10th truth. Empaths don't give up easily, they give up finally. And when they do, there's no going back, because they've already exhausted every option. And their decision to leave isn't impulsive, it's the result of 1,000 small moments where they chose themselves. And eventually, those moments add up.
Let's talk about why this is more dangerous than narcissism. A narcissist is external. They need your reaction, your attention, your validation. But a burnt-out empath is internal. They don't need anything from you. And that makes them unpredictable. Because you can't manipulate someone who doesn't care about your opinion. You can't guilt someone who's already processed the guilt. You can't gaslight someone who trusts their own perception. You can't hoover someone who's emotionally moved on. And that imperviousness, that self-sufficiency, is what makes burnt-out empaths unshakable. They've built walls, and they're not letting anyone in. Peyton had a partner who used guilt as a weapon. Every boundary Peyton set was met with tears, accusations, threats to leave. And for a while it worked. Peyton would back down, apologize, try harder. But eventually, Peyton stopped responding to the guilt, stopped apologizing, stopped trying, and the partner panicked because the manipulation only worked when Peyton cared about the partner's feelings. And once Peyton stopped caring, the partner had no leverage, no control. And that terrified them because they'd built the relationship on Peyton's empathy. And when that empathy was withdrawn, the relationship had nothing left. This is the 11th truth. Empaths are only controllable when they care. And when they stop caring, all the tactics that worked before become useless. The guilt, the tears, the threats, none of it lands because the empath has already emotionally exited, and you're talking to a wall. Here's what people don't realize. Burnt-out empaths aren't angry. Anger requires energy, and they're out of energy. They're just done. And that lack of emotional charge makes them seem cold. But it's not coldness, it's exhaustion. And exhaustion doesn't fight, it just walks away. This is different from stonewalling. Stonewalling is a control tactic, a way to punish. But when an empath disengages, it's not punishment, it's self-preservation. They're not trying to hurt you, they're trying to stop hurting themselves. And if that feels like rejection, maybe examine why their self-care threatens you.
The friend felt shut out, but Sage wasn't shutting them out. Sage was protecting personal space, because sharing with someone who doesn't listen isn't connection, it's performance, and Sage was tired of performing. The friend called it passive-aggressive, Sage called it self-respect. This is the 12th truth. Empaths don't owe you access, and when they withdraw it, it's not a punishment, it's a boundary. And if you can't respect that boundary, you've proven why the boundary was necessary in the first place. Let's talk about what happens long-term. A narcissist cycles. They discard and hoover, discard and hoover. They need the drama. But a burnt-out empath doesn't cycle. They cut, once, cleanly, and they don't come back. And that finality is what makes people uneasy, because there's no second act, no redemption arc, just an ending. And that ending doesn't come with closure, because the empath doesn't need to explain. They've already explained 100 times, and if you didn't listen then, they're not explaining now. They're just gone. And that absence, that silence, forces you to sit with your own behavior, and that's uncomfortable. Reese ended a relationship without a big conversation, just stopped engaging. The ex demanded closure. Reese said there was nothing left to say. The ex said that was cruel. Reese said cruelty would have been staying and resenting them. Leaving was kindness. The ex didn't see it that way. Reese didn't need them to. Because closure is a gift, and empaths stop giving gifts to people who don't appreciate them. The ex wanted closure on their terms. Reese gave closure on their own terms, and that's the shift. Empaths stop accommodating, and it feels like cruelty to people who benefited from their accommodation. This is the 13th truth. When empaths stop people-pleasing, people get uncomfortable, because the relationship was built on the empath's flexibility, and when that flexibility disappears, the relationship has no foundation, and instead of building a new one, people blame the empath for changing. But the empath didn't change, they just stopped pretending. Here's the final truth. A burnt-out empath is dangerous because they have nothing to lose. They've already lost themselves trying to save everyone else, and when they finally choose themselves, they do it without guilt, without hesitation, without looking back. And that level of self-prioritization, after years of self-neglect, is unstoppable. You can't guilt them, can't manipulate them, can't charm them, because they've seen it all, they've felt it all, and they're done absorbing it. They've built boundaries out of scar tissue, and those boundaries don't bend, they don't negotiate, they just exist. And you either respect them or you lose access. There's no third option. So if you've ever wondered why the kindest person you know suddenly became unreachable, this is why. They didn't become cruel, they became selective. And that selectivity,
born from exhaustion and clarity, is more dangerous than any narcissist could ever be, because they know you, and they've decided you're not worth knowing anymore.